I'm Gab, he's Jules. Grey skies over West London, but we're here to brighten things up.
Of course.
And Jules looking especially bright because, second time lucky, Paris Saint-Germain are champions of the world or intercontinental. This is all kind of confusing.
Yeah,
What
the
we
real
name it.
ones.
All right.
I'm kidding, Chelsea fans.
A capsule review here. FIFA held a Club World Cup where they invited, which they say they're going to hold every 4 years, where they invited top teams from every confederation. And Chelsea won that back in July. But of course, before there was another FIFA Club World Cup, which has now been called the Intercontinental Cup, which is what it was called many, many years ago when it was just the champions of Europe and South America. I guess they must have a long-term contract with Qatar.
Yeah, maybe.
So they all flew to, all fly to Qatar. Paris Saint-Germain advanced straight to the final for some ranking reasons I don't fully understand. And they played Flamengo.
That's right.
And it was a tight game, Jules.
Yeah,
1-1
it
at the end of
great.
regular time, and then penalties.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Flamengo are a very good team. They've got Felipe Luis, who's a young, very, very bright, highly rated manager, and rightly so. They've got a lot of players who used to play in Europe before, whether they are Brazilian, who went back to Brazil, whether they non-Brazilian, like Saul Niguez, for example. If you wonder where Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid is, where he's gone, he's there, for example. He came off the bench in the final on Wednesday night. It was not a particularly good game, let's be honest here. PSG were not good. They were very sloppy. They gave away quite a silly penalty that could have been easily avoided. They were not very good going forward either in terms of being sharp and efficient, although they opened the scoring. But it was 1-1. It finished 1-1 after normal time, after extra time. So then we went to penalties.
Yeah, and in penalties, Marat Safanov, the magic man bun. I love to make fun of this guy. I have to say he did something which, from what I remember, in international finals, at least we're talking about this before, I've only seen once before, and it's the stuff of legend. He saved 4 penalties. The guy before who did it, we both remember him. I mean, I think you were in diapers when it happened.
I was 6 years old.
Helmut Dukadam.
Yes.
In that legendary Steaua Bucharest team. And then Dukadam has an incredible personal story that followed. I invite you all to do some Googling about him because it's pretty amazing.
It's worth it.
But it's a different world back then.
Yeah.
In terms of the game itself, Luis Enrique had played the scrubs at the weekend. Still Dembele and Speedy Barcola coming off the bench, maybe not 100%. Maybe he wanted to reward Mayulu, who I thought did fine. It's funny with Flamengo, though, because I thought they held the pitch really well. You mentioned Felipe Luis. I was struck by the fact with older players like Bulgar and Jorginho, so you figure you want to play a possession game, but you can't really do that so well against Paris Saint-Germain. So they got the front four to press pretty high up the pitch.
Yeah.
It worked for a while, and then obviously the penalty changed it. But I think and then obviously in extra time, there was the miss from Marquinhos, which could have changed it, could have made up for the penalty he gave away. But we're going to get back to the game later. But on Paris Saint-Germain, the other big story is a court has ordered Paris Saint-Germain to pay Kylian Mbappe 70 million euros.
60 million euros.
60 million euros. Yeah. Sorry. This goes back to when they just stopped paying him for 3 months and stopped giving him his bonuses because they were unhappy over this 2+1 nonsense.
Yeah, they didn't want him to leave on a free. They had a meeting. Apparently, Mbappe told the club that he would not leave on a free, and to do that, he would waive off some of his bonuses. But there was nothing written, no contract, nothing. So it was one word against the other. And I think they had to pay what was owed to Kylian in the contract that he had signed, that they had signed 2 years before. So there was just...
Okay. It's done. They said they reserve the right to appeal. I don't think they will appeal because if they do appeal, they're going to lose again. I
don't think they will appeal.
This is the part I don't get. I want to get your take on this because obviously they get advice from lawyers. You know my thoughts on lawyers. But when you have no contract, you just have a he said, she said, oh, but you told us. Yeah. When you sign this contract that you present as 2+1, but isn't really 2+1 because there's no written option for the third year.
Oh, no, there was an option, but it was him triggering
it. But it's not in the favor of the club, right? So it's not like
it was just him, right?
How do you think you can win? Why would you take on one of the most popular footballers in the world?
No, I think they were hoping to have to pay less. So maybe 40, maybe half of it, maybe 30,
they could
35.
Settle somehow.
Yeah, find a settlement somewhere. They didn't. I don't think Kylian was ready to do that anyway. He wanted all the money. He got all the money.
Yeah. I think contracts matter. I think it also shows you that you can't bully your way. Certainly not against somebody like Kylian Mbappe. It's pretty good lawyers as well. All right, Jules, let's put some more context in this. For people who like counting trophies, and I generally don't, because I think, okay, the European Super Cup, whatever, these are kind of fugazi trophies. But I think it does put you in some historical context in this case. 6 trophies in a single year. And again, would have been 7 if not for that Club World Cup final where in Somaresca, they flattened them 3-0.
Yeah.
Only 2 teams have won, and one isn't actually all in the same calendar year. One of them, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, which, is kind of like next level.
Yeah, 09, yeah.
And the other one was Bayern with Hansi Flick. By a quirk of the calendar, it was moved over to 2021.
Yes, so 2020 for 5, and then the 6th one in 2021.
That was also COVID, different vibe about it. In terms of the Paris Saint-Germain universe, are fans saying, yeah, this is actually a really, really big deal, this matters? Is it like, or it's a question of, well, it's nice, but we see through it? Because we live in England, and there's massive cynicism for historical reasons in the small island about any kind of FIFA-related trophy that's not the World Cup, right? Well, what's the vibe there?
No. I think it's been seen as very, very important. I think the club made history, like domestically to start with. In France, nobody had ever played. Marseille could not play their Intercontinental Cup final at the time when they won the Champions League because of the Barbary scandal and everything. So no French team had ever been in it, so let alone winning it. So for PSG to win that, to go and win 6 trophies, like you said, Gabi, it's only the 3rd time in history. So it's not something that even the greatest teams have done before. So I think they took a lot of pride of that. They also have the Ballon d'Or winner, the African Ballon d'Or winner, and the Asian Ballon d'Or winner in their squads. It's been an incredible season. They've won more games than anybody else. They've played more games than anybody else as well, but they also won more games than anybody else. They played every single game possible in that calendar year, including the final of the Club World Cup, the only one that they lost, really. But it's just been an incredible year that I think will stay forever in the history of football, certainly from a French and Parisian point of view.
Yeah, it strikes me that like more than one thing can be true. I rail on endlessly about just the massive imbalance of resources that exist, not just with nouveau riche clubs and the funding from Qatar or whatever, but also with the established giant, whether it's Barcelona, Manchester United. But I think of it like, to get all biblical on you, the parable of the talents, where, like well, you can look it up, but basically I think it's a father gives his son certain amounts of gold, and then it comes down to what you do with it.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that, and I'm sure Paris Saint-Germain is really unpopular with a lot of fan bases in France for many reasons.
Yeah.
You can't take away the fact that with the talents that they were given, which is more than anybody else, they absolutely got squeezed as much as they could out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and for many years also the project didn't work. It took a long time to finally find the right winning formula. And I think they would have been happy with just 1 Champions League plus a domestic title or 2. So to have 6 and almost 7, because they also went all the way to that Club World Cup final, and Chelsea were the better team on the day of that final. There's no doubt, but you still went all the way to that final. Again, you reached every final, and you played every single game that a season had to offer for you, which in itself is quite remarkable, I think. So I don't know I don't know who's going to do it next. I don't know if it will be done again, certainly by PSG or by another club. In 4 years' time, somebody obviously would have the chance to go for 7, which nobody had ever done before.
Although maybe the Intercontinental nonsense
will be gone by then. That's true, you're right. Because this season, obviously, you could have won both and be twice world champions, I guess, which is a bit strange. But anyway, so we see, I just think Luis Enrique obviously deserves a lot of credit. And I think Felipe Luis said it yesterday very well after the game or before the game even on like, this is the most beautiful things he's created in his career. And I know the 2015 Barca treble team was great and you had Messi and Neymar and Suarez and all of that. But I think this must feel like different for him to have built this. There was 3 teenagers in that team yesterday at some point that won the final. There were 3 of them in the Champions League final as well. The way the way they've gone, certainly for the first half of 2025, what he did with Dembele, what he did just in terms of tactics and everything is just incredible.
It's interesting to use the word beautiful. I think, it's my view. You can disagree if you want, but like, if we're comparing Luis Enrique's treble winners with his team, I would say that team, to me, is a more talented team and is a more mature team. With this team, given, as you said, the fact that I assume John Neves will continue to get better. Desiree Doué is not anywhere near his ceiling. So many of these guys you feel can continue to grow if they stick around. Whereas 2015, that felt like, they still went on. Messi obviously still playing today, but as is Luis Suarez, funnily enough, as is Neymar in theory.
Yeah.
But, that team was a team that had been together, had won. They knew each other inside out. Obviously, Luis Enrique, I think it was his first season taking over from Tito, if I remember, or maybe his second. But like, they were within a scheme that had been laid out by Pep. That was a team coming to fruition. Whereas this is a team where you figure they can get better. They can even get better.
Yeah. But even to get to this point with this team, I don't think that was a given at all. It was the Barca 15.
That was a better team, you agree with me?
Yeah, but if you have Xavi, Messi, Busquets, Iniesta, Suarez, and Neymar, so when you already have the core and then you add the best Brazilian at the time, one of the best strikers in Europe at the time from Liverpool, obviously your team is going to be better than having Barcola, Doué, Dembele, etc., etc. So I think to get this team where he did, considering that the beginnings were difficult, and he got heavily criticized, and I think rightly so at the time. But to see that evolution, whereas for the 15 team, it was a great team with the best players in the world straight away,
right?
Which was not the case in this one.
And a lot of those guys had obviously won the treble 5 years earlier, 4 years earlier, even under Pep Guardiola. Just pitch-wise, the Safonov situation, like when he came over, naturally, it bugged me that Paris Saint-Germain acquired him. They thought there's supposed to be sanctions. I never got a straight answer as to how this was able to happen, how they were able to send money to Russia when they're under sanction. I didn't like the fact that he was there. I didn't like his man bun. I think he looked weird. But he certainly did he sees his chance. He played at the weekend, and I assumed Chevalier would be back. Do you think there's are they legitimately competing for the job after today?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think the question was asked even before the game on Wednesday, before the final, because he'd been really good this time, which hadn't been the case, for example, last season when he replaced Donnarumma at some point and had a chance to show what he could do and to impress in a way, and didn't take it. This time he took it really, really well. The club still said that Chevalier was not fully fit or certainly fit enough after the ankle injury to play a game like this. Maybe it was that. Maybe Luis Enrique just fancied Safonov a bit more. I don't know. But for now, I don't know how you can take him out of the team. I mean, at the weekend, they're playing the French Cup against a team from the 7th division. So Chevalier might come back for that. He might even play Marin, the young kid who arrived from Italy in the summer. It doesn't matter so much. The more interesting thing is what is going to happen after the winter break. But it's hard to take Safonov out of the team now, considering how well he's done, especially in the final, in the shootout. Before that, he really had nothing to do. So it's strange. I mean, what's quite funny is that PSG won 3 finals in 2025 with 3 different goalkeepers. They won 3 penalty shootouts with 3 different goalkeepers. On top of the fact that, obviously, as we said, he saved 4 of the 5 penalties, which is quite incredible in itself. So, I don't know. What was funny is the only 2 players not to celebrate and not to run on him after he won the shootout were Chevalier, obviously, and Ilya Zabani, who's being Ukrainian, has already mentioned many times that he's not happy that there's a Russian player in the same squad as him. So it's not an easy situation, I think, even from a club point of view to navigate. But he was definitely the hero
on the Zabani thing. I think it's interesting, right? It's not the first time it's happened in different clubs where you've got Russian and Ukrainian players together, and I don't know if Safonov has made, I'm assuming he hasn't made any, and obviously there's some Russian players who have distanced themselves.
Yeah.
Others have not. And there's also some Ukrainians who've been very vocal, and others have not. But certainly Zabarny's somebody who's been vocal.
Yeah, very much.
Do we think that came up when he signed for Paris Saint-Germain and they had a conversation? And I'm assuming he was told, look, you're a professional. Here's a contract. Take it or don't take it. He's a professional like you.
Yeah, no, I think he
this
voiced
isn't about
it.
politics. You're at work.
Yeah, the club is very much aware of it. I mean, in the Metz game, maybe, Zabarny didn't play, which was a bit surprising. Apparently, he was ill. But there was also those rumors that he didn't play because he didn't want to play and start that game and play that game with Safonov behind him in goal, which I think Zabarny's wife put a message with a bit of insinuation later on social media around that. So I don't know exactly what was the reason why Zabarny didn't play that game where he was supposed to play. It might have been because he didn't want to share the pitch with Safonov. It might have been another reason. I don't know. But yeah, it's just not an easy situation.
All right. I mean, we are talking about the reserve center back for now anyway, as long as Marquinhos is around, and possibly the reserve keeper.
Sure.
So it's not a Vitinha, Dembele situation.
No, absolutely not.
But is this something that can continue to? Because I'm assuming Safonov says nothing. I'm assuming he's a mute, like most Russians abroad.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard his voice yet.
There you go. Final word on Flamengo. I watched him in person, Carabao Cup. I was really impressed. I know I'll go back to Felipe Luis again. Just a broader point. Brazilian coaches, historically, if you look at their success in Europe, many different reasons, high turnover in coaching in Brazil, whatever. They certainly have punched nowhere near their weight, certainly not compared to actual footballers. Does Felipe Luis, does this strike you as somebody who could be a little different? Somebody who could be exported?
Yeah. Yeah, I think obviously this is his club. The club he supported as a kid that we played for. So I think he might stay another year or two, maybe even. He already refused some offers from Europe, including Fenerbahce in the summer, probably because he wanted, no offense to Fenerbahce, but a bigger club already. I think he's ready for anything, any top clubs in Europe. So it's just a matter of time. They're winning so much at Flamengo right now. There's no need for him to go and in a rush. But yeah, in the next 2 years, he will be in one of the big European clubs.
I want to see him at Atletico Madrid one day.
I think everybody does that.
When Cholo Simeone retires. So yeah, Felipe, if you're watching this, see you in 2045. All right, enough Intercontinental Cup. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Manchester City roll past Brentford 2-0 in the League Cup. Jules, Ryan Shirky keeps getting better. Wasn't he supposed to be immature and a little as John Texter called him? And
no, not anymore. No, I mean, we saw
but
last
John
season.
Texter said he was.
Not he. Well, he said his people around him. But last season already, we saw a massive improvement. I think Paulo Fonseca had a massive positive influence on Ryan Shirky's, not so much personality, but more in cleaning up his game at some point, like sometimes, because he was maybe doing a bit of too much of the dribbling and not being efficient enough or not always making the right decision. So for that, he's worked a lot on it, even before coming to City and before working with Pep. I guess now when you work with this squad and this manager, it helps you, even if Guardiola was not happy with the Rabona assist the other day, which you can understand in a way. I think Shirky's got such an incredible, pure and rare talent as a footballer that the more freedom you give him, the better it will be.
Yeah, and obviously we should point out Shadow Squad, no Haaland, no defender, Kusanov showing again that all his limitations. But they're there. This is their trophy. This is the one that they almost always win.
It takes them a long time, but Barcelona eventually break down Guadalajara in Spain, not in Mexico, obviously, and win 2-0 in the Copa del Rey. Gab, what did you learn?
So they took 1,000,000 shots. I think they had 81% possession. I learned that this is one of those cup ties where, either the big team scores straight away, the other team has to open up, and then they go into hiding, or they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. That goalkeeper, was it Jaime, or maybe that was the one in the other game? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I made some big saves. In the end, Christensen, of all people, pops up. I also learned that I don't want to keep beating this dead horse, but do I need to have Yamal on the pitch for 90 minutes for this game? I know you want to win everything and stuff, but at some point, What happened? All his groin issues went away?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like-
Maybe he wanted to play. Maybe it was good for his fitness. I was surprised, like you. I thought. I mean, I thought it was a strong team to start with, but then to have Lamine all the time on the pitch, very surprising.
I bring him off the bench if you need him, but I don't know. Whatever. Hey, Hansi, who am I? You won 6 trophies, I'm told.
Yes,
Although
one
not in
year.
12 months. Newcastle also advanced, beating Fulham 2-1 with a dramatic late goal from local hero Lewis Miley. They waited 70 years for a trophy before winning one last March.
Yeah.
Are they like bosses? Are they going to get 2 in a row now?
Let's see. I mean, it helps them when they play at home because they won obviously this run at home, the last run against Tottenham at home as well, because we know away from home is far more difficult for them, certainly domestically. And unfortunately, the semi-final is home and away tie, so they will have to go and play at home at some point against Manchester City at the Etihad. So I don't know if they'll make the final, but in a team that lost Livramento to injury, which I think is really bad news considering Burn is already out as well. A team where there was some rotation up front, especially. I didn't think that was one great performance from them, especially on the back of the derby where they were really bad and where Bruno Guimaraes was very unhappy with the attitude of the team. So they will need to do more than that if they want to beat City over 2 legs.
I think this speaks volumes of also priorities for Eddie Howe.
Yeah,
I mean, you
sure.
leave Anthony Gordon on the bench. Nice to see Johan Wissa finally
And scoring.
finally score. This tells you that we need to get into the Champions League or come close. We need to succeed in the Champions League. This is not by no means a priority, as the way it might have been last year when it was so important to win a trophy.
Sure. Chelsea also advanced as they win 3-0 away at Cardiff. Gab, this was far from comfortable, though.
No, and you know what? Maresca said before the game, we have to be careful because, Cardiff are top of the league in League One, by the way. And you're coached by this guy with a weird name who worked with Man City, or worked with Maresca Man City, apparently.
Yeah.
All these things I find out thanks to the League Cup about lower league football.
Exactly, it's great.
I thought Cardiff played really well. They played with more intensity. They played with more drives. And I think this is a game where, like, if you're a scrub and Maresca puts you in, you have to show that you belong.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, in this game, when you play Marc Guiu and he doesn't show you anything, I can only conclude, Marc Guiu, this is your level, Cardiff, right? Why should Maresca change his mind about you and give you more minutes? Tyreek George, who I normally like, also had a rough game. He had to bring in the grown-ups later on, Garnacho scoring. And they win 3-1, and they moved on. And at least Maresca didn't say after the game that someone is not supporting me. Jules, we're not done because we have more quick hits.
Let's go.
Real Madrid advanced to the Copa del Rey with a 3-2 win against Talavera de la Reina. Jules, a dubious penalty, an own goal, and a goalkeeping blunder. Mbappe involved in all of them.
Yes.
You see any improvement?
Not really, but that's not in a game like this where I think you can judge anything from Real Madrid, considering the team that they faced against, the kind of the way the game went, even if they conceded 2 goals, which is not a good look at all. Mbappe, the only reason why Mbappe played 90 minutes in this, and Xabi Alonso said, "Oh no, we didn't discuss it," which is not true, obviously, is that he's 1 goal away from equaling the record of most goals scored in the calendar year for a Real Madrid player, which was Cristiano back in 2012, I think, or something like that, with 57 or 58. Kylian is just 1 more to go to level that, 2 more to beat that record, which would be incredible.
It would be disrespectful to Cristiano
Why?
if he beats his record.
Why?
Just kidding.
Oh, sorry. There's 1 more game to go against Sevilla at the weekend in La Liga. But obviously before that, I think Kylian saw this game thinking like, okay, lower league opposition, I can score 1, 2, maybe 3. He scored 2 to get him closer to that record that he really, really wants to beat. So that's the only reason why he played the whole 90 minutes, which was not Lamine Yamal's case, for example, to go back to the Barca point that we had earlier.
Usually pretty chilled out about this. I would actually be a little bit concerned because I would expect at least control in this game and an awareness of where you are and awareness of where your manager is. Xabi Alonso is getting killed again this morning. The goal, which ended up being decisive, is the goalkeeper who had been fantastic till that point, just letting the ball slip under him. And then you concede again to make it 3-2 because he falls asleep. And then Lunin has to make a big save at the end. I hope the players realize that if they want to keep Xabi Alonso, they got to show you a lot more.
Sticking with Real Madrid, there's more back and forth between the club and Liga president Javier Tebas over the Negreira case.
Yeah, so Tebas, who never misses an opportunity to speak, Florentino had criticized, saying that, by implication, he's saying the Liga is passive and bringing this case, which, for those who don't remember, is Barcelona between 2011 and 2018 paid a bunch of money to a company that was linked to a referee, essentially, Negreira, including 1 million that was paid while Laporta was still president. These were ostensibly to receive information on referees in terms of their style and stuff, almost like a consultancy thing. Does seem like a lot of money to pay.
Yeah.
Tebas firing back and saying, look, there's a process and we're doing our bit, which I think Tebas, it's in his interest and it's in La Liga's interest to clear this up. This is before his time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just taking pot shots at Tebas over and over again, I don't know, seems kind of silly from Florentino. Let's rewind all the way back to Monday, Jules. Manchester United and Bournemouth battle to a wild 4-4 draw as Senna Lemons makes a key last-ditch stop from little David Brooks. Was this a car crash of a game, or was this quality entertainment only in the Premier League?
No, I think a bit of both. But two teams that play chaos football.
But one is by design, the other one is...
No, I really start to think that that's also what Amorim wants, because otherwise they would do something. But for a year now, he's been in charge. Nothing has changed in terms of controlled games. His teams can't control anything. They were so exposed again and open in this game, even when they took the lead 3 times. 3 times in your own stadium. And yet, every time you let a team that is very similar to you, because that's all, they also thrive in chaos. But I don't think it's good enough from a Manchester United point of view. So it's a point. I guess you're happier if you Bournemouth, because you came back from 3-2 down, from 4-3 to 4-4 with that Krupi Junior goal late. But if you're, I don't know. I really don't understand how Amorim can watch those matches again and not do anything about it. Yeah. And that's the reason why they are one of the best teams after first halves and one of the worst teams in second halves, because they have absolutely no control. It's not just they don't have any control. They've got no idea what to do when they're leading a game.
Right. It's harsh words. Tell us how you really think.
Bruno Fernandes he's heard that the club wanted to move on from him in the summer and that he has it in his head.
Yeah, so this is an interview I think he gave like a month ago, but it was only released more recently. He said that the club wanted him to move on in the summer, the Saudi offer, blah, blah, blah. And it really bothered him. The club wanted to get rid of him. He also signed a contract extension before, which to me made little sense of the timing of that. But he said that it was Amorim who said he wanted him to stay. And he said, well, because I want you to stay. Like, if this is true, it's one of two things. Either Amorim's being a nice guy here, kind of like maybe is with Salah. Like, hey, we want you to stay. Or I would seriously question. Because from a team-building perspective, for what Amorim wants to do, you do not want Bruno Fernandes there. You want Bruno Fernandes' money and the money you get from him and the salary slot to buy the players you need to build something, right? I think this much is pretty much obvious, especially Bruno Fernandes' age. So you sacrifice your best player for an enormous amount of money, and you put the pieces in place that will hopefully help you grow. But what strikes me is he also said, and this is slightly underreported, I think, he says, I always give my maximum, and no fault there. He undoubtedly does. Then you look around and you see players who don't value the club as much as you do and who won't defend the club as much. That makes you sad. I don't know who he's talking about at the club, but people will speculate. I think these are heavy words from a guy who, while he's there, is Manchester United's most important player, Jules.
Yeah, but you saw at the end of the game on the pitch, he was very unhappy with clearly some things that some of the players have done on the pitch. You know, he on the free kick scored by Tavernier, for example, he very, very obvious, tells the goalkeeper the ball is going to go there, make sure that you're on that side, and Lamens get beaten. The way they concede that fourth goal is unacceptable. And I think if you're someone like Bruno, who probably has his part of responsibility, especially playing so deep, which is not really his best position. But I mean, that's the only place he can play, really, because they're too short in that midfield area. It's not ideal, but that's the only thing they can do. You must be really frustrated, and then that's what happens. Then you start saying things that you might regret one day or something.
Jules, we talked Monday about the backlash for World Cup tickets distributed by National Federation to their hardcore supporters, and suddenly FIFA announces a new quote, entry tier ticket, which will cost just £60. I guess they listened to us.
They did, yeah. So let's not get it. Let's get it right. This is a tiny amount of tickets.
1.6% of total tickets sold.
Exactly. So you'll have no chance. Just don't bank on paying $60 because it's not going to happen. There will be far too many demands for the amount of tickets that would be at that price.
Yeah, it's 10% of the tickets that are sold via the national federations. The next highest tier up, which is another 40% of the tickets, is about 3 times that. And I've said it before, this is stupid from FIFA. These are the people who lend authenticity to the World Cup. We've seen it. Everything else is just a combination of very wealthy people, jet setters, hangers-on, corporates, and so on. These are the people who make it authentic, who make this giant reality TV show authentic. And you really don't want to be screwing them over.
More World Cup, Gab. FIFA said the prize money is increasing by 50%, with the champions taking home $50 million.
Yeah, I see some headlines. Record prize money for the World Cup, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, come on, man. Like, it's gone up to 48 teams. There's 104 games. The television rights are going out for much more. The ticket sales are going for much more. It's much bigger stadiums than there were in Qatar. And it's more games. And the tickets are far more expensive. The reality here, now they're getting $50 million in Qatar. They got $40 million. It's still half of what Chelsea got for winning for winning the Club World Cup. I think we need to be realistic. I mean, about this. This is... I don't even know there should be prize money at a World Cup, frankly.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Tough going for Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey, but they eventually win 3-2 away to Atletico Baleares as Antoine Griezmann scores twice. Jules, he has 8 goals in 24 appearances this season, but has started just 9 games.
Yeah.
Are you still so sure he should move on at the end of the season?
Oh, I think he will, because I think he wants to eventually. I think they want to try life in the US, which they love, him and the whole family, Enrique, the wife and the kids. And so I think he will go, but I love him so much. And every time he comes on, he's more effective off the bench, let's be honest. Yeah, he has started a few games, as you said, Gabby, 9. He doesn't have an hour, I think, even in his old legs. Half an hour is probably better. 45 minutes would do. There's still a bit of magic there. Of course, there is. That left foot, we said that, I think, on Monday's show after his goal at the weekend.
Goal weekend, yeah.
That first touch is incredible. So as long as he enjoys it and he's happy, I'm happy for him. Whether he stays maybe a little bit longer or he goes this summer to the US, we'll see. I think he will go, and I think he will have fun over there too. But it's great when he scores. He's great. This was also back on Monday night, but Wesley scored the only goal as Roma beat Como 1-0 to move back into 4th place. Gab, they're still contenders, right?
Definitely. And I was really impressed with the way they're saying. As you know, I do not like Gasperini and blah, blah, blah. But Como are tough out, right? Como with Cesc Fabregas.
2 best defenses, yeah.
They've quality football. They also know how to defend. Roma not rattled. Roma, I think, doing a great job of maybe surprising them at certain times by pressing high, by winning the ball back. The goal from Wesley came in the second half. I thought it should have come sooner. It's a statement win against Como, who, are everybody's darlings. Although I have to say, sometimes if you kind of, find out how the sausage is made at Como, as they say, they also racked up record losses in Serie A. Those numbers just coming out.
True.
I think it's right around 100 million. And I'd be really curious to know how this works if they ever qualify for Europe, which, in fact, they might do as early as next season. So, Como project, let's wait and see. Now, sticking with that game, Cesc Fabregas is getting tons of abuse from Senegal fans after Assane Diao had to come off injured after just 36 minutes, which means it's a flexor issue, and it means he's going to miss the Africa Cup of Nations. Yeah. Now, club fee country stuff and so on, Cesc Fabregas had a pretty pointed response.
Yeah, I mean, before the game even, he mentioned in his press conference that he was not happy with Diao going to AFCON, that he spoke to Papcho, the Senegalese head coach, that he didn't want the player to leave Como to go. So then he got abused for that, which I completely agree with.
Abusing Cesc.
Yeah, you should not say things like that about AFCON. If somebody has told Fabregas in 2008, you're not going to go to the Euros with Spain, he would not have been happy. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know why He knows exactly AFCON is happening. He knew his player when he signed him that was very likely to go to AFCON. I don't understand why suddenly he's saying that he should not
I
go.
think his defense there was because I think he's eligible for Spain too, because he grew up there and stuff, and I think he's a Spanish citizen. Maybe he thought that he'd be in the Spanish national team by now. I don't know.
I don't know, but Diao clearly wanted to go to AFCON. He's playing for Senegal. That was the first thing. And then obviously, as the irony can take it, Diao starts this game against Roma, and after half an hour, gets injured, comes off, which makes, I guess, the Senegalese fan even more angry, although that was not Fabregas's fault that his player got injured halfway through a game. That was nobody's fault, really. But that whole thing was an absolute mess. I think that could have, for some of it, been avoided.
Yeah, I should point out in Fabregas's defense, it's not like this was his first game back from injury and there were some questions.
No,
He'd come off the bench in the previous 3 games. That said, coming out and saying we pay his wages, it's true, but it's a really indelicate, insensitive thing to say. And it doesn't sound like, as somebody who's known Cesc for a long time, it's not something that I would have expected him to say. I think he regrets saying it.
More World Cup, Gab. The Trump administration has issued a partial travel ban for citizens of Ivory Coast and Senegal, suspending their entry into the US. Does this mean that fans from those countries would not be able to come and watch their team?
It's going to be much, much tougher. There is obviously a big Senegalese community in the U.S. and also one from Cote d'Ivoire too. And obviously the World Cup isn't just taking place in the United States, and these restrictions don't exist in Mexico and Canada. However, there is also a carve out for athletes and so on. This is close. They're almost in the same boat as Iran and Haiti. This is something FIFA said would not happen. There's still time, but there's got to be better ways of dealing with this. Also because it's not like you're going to get tens of millions of people coming from Senegal, especially if they have to buy a World Cup ticket at those prices.
Sure.
So it seems to me you can screen people and do it in such a way that you can protect the integrity of your borders and your security issues and whatever else you may have, while at the same time allowing ticket holders to come and be part of it. The Africa Cup of Nations gets underway on Sunday as host Morocco face Comoros. Jules, the home nation, heavily favored, no surprise. But who else do you like?
I think this is quite. I know Morocco will be seen as the heavy favorite, and they should be. They reached the semi-final of the World Cup. Obviously, they're the highest ranked team in the country. They haven't
Under 20 world champions.
Under 20 world champions. They haven't won AFCON since 1976, so that's a very long time ago. Usually North African teams do well when the competition is organized in or somewhere in North Africa. So they've got their chances, of course, depending on what happens with Hakimi and when he can play again, for example. But I think, as we saw with Ivory Coast in the last one, a surprise is always possible. I think Senegal will look good. I think Egypt and Mo Salah have a point to prove, and Osama San on the bench. Nigeria, who missed out on the World Cup qualifications, and Victor Osimhen have a big squad. I think the danger will be from everywhere, and I think it's a very, very exciting tournament. You should watch it. Go and watch it because I think he's going to be great.
Really nice stadiums. The bookies, by the way, they have Morocco as slight favorites, and then they have Algeria, Egypt, and Senegal all kind of on a par as second favorites. And then there's a big gap before you get to Tunisia, Ivory Coast, and my Super Eagles.
ESPN and others are reporting that Carlo Ancelotti is in advanced talks over an extension to his Brazil contract that would take him beyond the World Cup. What do you make of it?
I want to be consistent here. It's stupid for them to do it. I'm very happy. I love Carlo Ancelotti. I'm very happy if he makes more money. The reason you do this is because, it gives the coach more authority, whatever. Carlo Ancelotti doesn't need more authority. He has all the authority he needs. You signed him up through the World Cup. If he wins the World Cup and then wants to stay, sure, give him more money. You do not need to do this. I don't understand it. I want to be consistent. I've been critical of other FAs when they've done that, like the English FA, who seems to do this. They did it with Capello. They did it with Ericsson back in the day. It's stupid. You have a contract. It covers a World Cup. You've been there less than a year. I mean, what's the rush now? Because you won some friendlies? Come on. It's time. It's time. It's Texter time. And also a different kind of Ancelotti. David Ancelotti has been sacked as coach of Botafogo after they finished sixth and failed to win the Copa Libertadores again. Jules, maybe he can join his dad at the World Cup.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he might. They will find him something to do in the Brazil staff for sure. As a first experience as a young coach for Davide, I don't think you should be ashamed of finishing sixth in the Brazil league, which is a very good league. As
with
we
John
said,
Textor as your boss.
your boss, the Libertadores is the toughest competition to win. Obviously, even if they've won it in the past, it's still not easy. So I find that's really harsh on Ancelotti from Textor. This is Textor for you. He did the same at Lyon. He did the same, remember, even at Molenbeek, when he sacked the manager who qualified the team for the playoff for promotion before the playoff even started. So he came on French radio this week to literally destroy Jean-Michel Aulas on the Lyon.
His business partner, Jean-Michel Aulas.
Well, his former business partner.
Wait, I thought he still owned he's completely gone.
Yeah.
Wait, is this Jean-Michel Aulas who, when he was Lyon, maybe like 15 years ago, when he was Lyon president, like they won like 7 or 8 titles in a row?
Yeah, that was him. Yeah.
So we're just checking.
No, but
Which I think is 7 or 8 titles more than Textor's one.
There's some truth that Textor said in that interview on RMC. There's other things that were not so true. But that's him for you. But I feel for David Ancelotti for sure. Nigeria lost to Congo for a place in the World Cup Interconfederation playoff, as we mentioned earlier. But Gab, the Nigeria Football Association is now saying that some Congolese players were ineligible and should not have played that game.
Yeah, and Congo's saying, well, they're just looking for a back door. So it actually concerns two current Premier League players, Axel Twanzebe and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So these guys have British passports. They're of Congolese descent. So that's why they play for Congo. Somebody in Nigeria figured out that, but Congo doesn't allow dual citizenships.
Right.
So how can these people possibly be eligible? Now, without looking too strictly at the regulations, there are carve-outs because we mentioned Curacao before.
Yeah.
The Netherlands, as far as I know, do not allow dual citizenships either.
Right.
And yet, funnily enough, there's all those Dutch guys playing for Curacao.
Yeah.
So obviously there is a way around it. Britain certainly does.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty straightforward with the FIFA rules. Now, if somebody at the Congo FA said, let's just call these guys up and have them play and not do the paperwork properly, then obviously yes. But you can't make a point of principles. So again, I'm pretty sure the interpretation of FIFA rules allow this. I think they should allow it. I think it's only fair. I understand a country not wanting to give an official dual citizenship for whatever reason. But if you're eligible, then I think it's right football-wise that they be allowed to do this. And it works in reverse, too, for Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
That they've had other people in the past who are citizens of other countries and come back and play for them. And in fact, in a lot of North African countries traditionally as well.
Yeah, completely.
More Chelsea, more Abramovich. Remember the $2.5 billion that Clear Lake paid for the club more than 3 years ago, and which was supposed to go to victims of the war in Ukraine, but is instead still sitting in a bank account accruing interest? Yeah, this story hasn't got away, Jules.
No.
But now, none other than the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who's a very menacing figure, has ordered Abramovich to release his money or he will take legal action.
Yes, that's the big news of the week, which you've been asked for many, many months now, saying like, what is that money still sat in that account and not being used to help people victims of the war and all of that, because that's a lot of money, £2.5 billion, obviously. So hopefully, could this resolve it, or do you don't think it's hard enough, strong enough?
Honestly, dude, it reminds me of how the joke is like cops in this country, most of them don't carry guns. And so if you commit a crime, they'll say stop or I'll say stop again. This is what it feels like. It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
The whole reason you forced him to sell the club is you put him under sanction. He worked out a deal with you about the $2.5 billion in Ukraine. You couldn't find lawyers competent enough to write this down in an actual contract where you force the money. Or maybe you get Clear Lake to say, hey, Clear Lake, instead of paying Abramovich the money, put it in this escrow account, pay it to us. You couldn't, nobody ever thought of this. And then the other thing is, he's under sanction, but for 3 years, you don't take any legal action against him?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a freaking joke.
Niklas Füllkrug has undergone a medical with Milan and is expected to join on loan when the transfer market reopens in January. Is this a good idea?
It's either way from Milan's perspective. They like the fact that that Pulisic Leao, they think that can work. Sometimes Nkunku, now Max is all about, oh, look, my lightweight strikers. But of course, he has Santi Jimenez, who is injured.
Yeah.
And so, but sometimes I'd want a big dude to come in and fill space in the penalty box. Niklas Füllkrug fills space very well.
Yeah.
They see this as no fuss, no muss. They're taking him on loan, no obligation. West Ham apparently are pushing back, saying, well, no, if he plays a certain number of games or if you qualify or if you reach certain goals, then you have to take him. We'll do your price 13 million, 15 million. I don't think Milan would take him on those terms. But as a straight loan, I think it might be good for Füllkrug as well. And yeah, everybody needs at least one big body striker, right?
Yeah. I mean, talking about Milan players, I was taking the Eurostar yesterday, so Wednesday morning, to go to Paris to cover the Paris FC Barcelona game in the Women's Champions League. In my queue for the Eurostar, Denzel Dumfries on his crutches with his ankle in a boot, who just had surgery, I suspect, in London, was taking the Eurostar back to go to, I would think, the Netherlands probably. So yeah, it was just there in the queue. So I said hello.
Not every star footballer flies private.
Absolutely not.
Although, was he by himself?
He was with his mates.
Okay, so he's got somebody carrying his bag and helping him and stuff. Otherwise, I mean, come on.
No, definitely.
Jules, you know how I feel about prizes and awards in football, so I'll let you handle the fact that Surprise! Ousmane Dembele and Haitana Bonmati won the men's and women's prizes at the FIFA The Best Awards.
As often, maybe as always, I would need to double check, but the Ballon d'Or winners are also the FIFA The Best winners.
Shocking.
You wonder even why they don't do, they did before. Did a joint ceremony. This time it was 2 different ceremonies. It was in Doha. Aitana wasn't there, but Ousmane was there, obviously, to get his trophy. They were certainly...
He was there on business.
On business, being ready for the Intercontinental Cup final. And yeah, I think they deserve it, both of them. I mean...
I wonder if this is something that they might also consider phasing out somehow. Because, in the past, when they've had this, there was so much hype around FIFA The Best Awards. They got big entertainers, big media presence. Here it kind of felt like this kind of went way under the radar. I don't know if there's too much hype. I also wonder, okay, I appreciate you have to play the game in Doha, but this was around all the FIFA bigwigs gathered. I think that a FIFA council meeting in Doha and stuff. Guys, you were all together in Washington, D.C. at the World Cup draw.
Yeah.
You couldn't stick around a few more days, maybe have the FIFA The Best Awards there. Aitana still wouldn't have been there, but whatever. It seems kind of, when they talk about, we're being so kind with going back to ticket prices, lowering, having the supporter entry tier at $60. Maybe if you didn't waste time flying all these people around the world to far-flung places, and then not even hyping or commercializing the thing properly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a thought.
Gab, we also got Team of the Year from FIFA. Are you happy with it?
I think, these teams of the year, normally they're all kind of pretty silly.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this team of the year, you'll see. So goalkeepers, Donnarumma, you can debate, but it is FIFA The Best. He won everything, blah, blah, blah. Fullbacks, 3 of the 4 back 4 are Paris Saint-Germain players. Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, your fullbacks. Pacho and Virgil van Dijk, the center backs. I got no particular issue there. Midfield is where it gets a little bit more interesting because Vitinha, no argument. Pedri, no argument. And then you have Jude Bellingham. Not the greatest season for him.
No.
Cole Palmer, if we're talking 2025, not the greatest for Cole Palmer either. I mean, I guess Chelsea did win the Club World Cup.
That's why I think he's there.
And then 2 forwards. Ousmane Dembele, no argument. And Lamine Yamal. Again, I'm not going to argue with that. So I'm not necessarily arguing with the names, although Palmer and Bellingham sound a little bit.
Yeah, Bellingham even more, I think, than...
But I like the fact that this actually looks like a team that you could put out there on the pitch.
Yeah, because
Right?
usually they play with 3 defenders and then all the rest are forwards. So-
Exactly. Right.
yeah.
So no, I have
No,
my
this
back
one is
four.
coherent. Quite
I have-
coherent.
I mean, Yamal can play on the left, right, to make room for Palmer. I would have Yamal and Palmer on the wings, Dembele center forward,
You could do that.
and then Vitinha anchoring in midfield with Pedri and Bellingham. That'd
Yeah.
be pretty
Or
good.
you play diamonds midfield. Vitinha, Pedri, Bellingham, and then Palmer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Palmer, the tip of the diamond.
No.
Our boy Wilfried Nancy is having a horrendous time at Celtic. Some of this stuff is downright weird.
Yeah.
So, by the way, his club executive, Peter Law, who's been involved with the club for a long time.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've met the guy. I actually like the guy. He talks a lot. I can see he wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea, but with me, he was always a gentleman. The club's having all sorts of issues. Now he's announced he's leaving. He's been doxxed. His home address has been published on the internet. What is going on at this club?
It's an absolute mess. I mean, the chaos was there before Wilfried arrived at the club. Remember, there was a protest during AGM meeting or something like that from the club a couple of weeks ago. 4 defeats in his first 4 games. I mean, 3 were very difficult because it was Hearts. Well, certainly it was Hearts and Roma, so in the league in Europe, and then the League Cup final that they lost to St. Mirren somehow.
And Martin O'Neill, by the way, helpfully saying, well, I would have stuck around for the Club World Cup final.
Yeah.
What a lovely man.
And Martin O'Neill did a really good job, by the way, before giving, handing the reins to Wilfried Nancy, who's struggling. There's no doubt. I think he's struggling with his communication. He's struggling on the pitch to get the players to do what he wants. Maybe he wanted to change things too quickly with that back 3 that he went in straight away. I don't know, but I think there's already, I saw Craig Burley on social media saying that he's gone, taxi for Nancy. I don't know what's going to happen, but in terms of the worst start of a tenure at a club of one of the big leagues, I know it's not, Scotland is not one of the big 5 leagues, but still, this has to be one of the worst.
Okay, we're not quite at Frank de Boer level.
Not yet, but that was
but
7, but you're 4.
These things take on a life of their own. People were flipping out over the fact that Wilfried Nancy has a Twitter account,
Right.
which he says is back when it was Columbus Crew and stuff like that. I've looked at it; it's now set to private. He only has like 5,000 followers, so it's obviously, but he's getting stick for that too. I just find this stuff bizarre.
I agree. Authorities in Argentina raided the offices of the Argentine Federation, as well as those of 17 clubs. They're investigating money laundering and corruption, Gab.
So I always wonder about timing in these things. I went to an event at the Emirates on Tuesday where the Argentine FA AFA was named strongest brand of the year by something called Brand Finance, which ranks brand. I mean, this is brand in like the sports sphere. So they were all proud to have that. And look, at the same time, the police come and raid everybody. They're at the top of this. There's a political divergence between Claudio Tapia, who heads the Argentine FA, who I think it's fair to say is more traditionalist in the way things should be set up. This is also the guy who had the brainwave of creating that stupid prize for Rosario Central. And Milei, who obviously is much more free market oriented, and Milei wants to push the idea of allowing private investors to buy into football clubs, which Estudiantes and Juan Sebastian Veron feel strongly about too. So it's playing out like this, sending people by to investigate you for money laundering and corruption is a tactic that people use to put you under pressure. And it's just ironic that it happens at the same time where AFA are celebrating the prize that they won. The Football Observatory, CIS, reported which 3 outfield players played the most minutes in the past 3 seasons. Jules, are you surprised by the results?
I mean, 2, definitely not. The third one, I think everybody will be surprised, mostly because of his age, not so much, for his position or anything like that. The first one is Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, playing a lot with United, never injured, always playing, as we said. Almost 17,000, you put the numbers there, Gabi, 17,000 minutes over those 3 seasons. Fede Valverde is the same. Again, I know he's been a bit injured this season. but he's usually a machine.
Valverde actually played more games, 199 games,
Incredible.
but slightly fewer minutes than Bruno.
But the third one is Nicolas Otamendi, and that, at his age, deserves a lot of credit.
Well, also, he doesn't play. It's not like he plays for a club that goes to a Champions League final
right.
and stuff like that. So he's literally always there.
Always there.
37 years young, Nicolas Otamendi.
Milan against Como in Australia is still set to go ahead in February, Gab, after the Asian Football Confederation approved the request, but there may be too many strings attached. Though.
Yeah, this is just stupid. Honestly, they would have been better off just saying no. And you remember this. It's a little bit like with Villarreal and Barcelona and Miami. Different confederations and FAs have to approve it. So this has the approval of UEFA, of the Italian FA, obviously, of the Australian Federation, of FIFA, and then sort of the last sort of hurdle was the Asian Football Confederation. They said yes, however, Serie A can't promote the game.
Right.
And can't be involved in the game's organization.
Okay.
And they can't supply their own match officials either. They have to get match officials from the Asian Football Confederation. Now, this strikes me as a way of saying no, because if Serie A can't promote the game and you're not getting Serie A officials, it stops being a Serie A game. It stops being a moneymaker. Exactly. They hope they're still saying, oh, no, don't worry, we'll work something out. Obviously, they don't want you doing this. So get your legal ducks in a row. And if you really want to do this, and I don't think you should, by the way, look at maybe doing this next year. But by the way, Milan Como, as we said many times, cannot be played at San Siro. So they have to play it somewhere else. And I don't know where else in Italy they could realistically play it. So who knows? Maybe they'll come. Maybe they can go and play it maybe we should bring up Ogurlian. Maybe you can go and play it in Lens.
Yeah,
it's a nice stadium, right?
Very nice.
The one now that he's bought it, right?
Yeah, it's his.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's very true.
You can have some. What was it? Is it the mules with frites that they eat there and stuff? Isn't that like
not
a big
really
thing?
that region? No.
Okay, but they have good beer in the north of France.
Yeah,
because they're semi-Belgian, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, very good beer, for sure.
No real surprises in the last round of Women's Champions League group stage, Jules. Barcelona, Lyon, Chelsea, and Bayern all win and go straight to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's right. But there was a point where Chelsea were behind away at Wolfsburg and out of that top four. That was so important because you avoid the last 16 rounds. You go straight into the quarterfinals. If you finish between 5th and 12th, you will go into the last 16 rounds. So Chelsea wanted to avoid that. In the end, they won. So they finished top four with Barcelona, Lyon, and Bayern. Arsenal in 5th, so just missing out. We'll have the draw to see who plays who. And we'll have the full draw as well, up all the way from the last 16 to the final. So we'll have a great idea of the kind of games that we could have all on Disney Plus. You can go and watch it in 4 different languages. It's great coverage. And this will be exciting. Barca were outstanding at the game that I was, the Paris FC game. Again, despite all the players missing. And Paris FC have also qualified, which in itself is an achievement. Also a very interesting little team. So loads more to look forward to in the Women's Champions League. Brendan Rodgers is the new coach of Al Qadsiya in Saudi Arabia. Gab, are you surprised?
I mean, look, he's chasing the money, at this stage. I don't think Al Qadsiya is an obvious place to go and win things. I know obviously they're doing well. And they're doing well this year. It is a little depressing, but I think Brendan Rodgers has burned so many bridges in England. Despite being, I think, a very good coach.
Yeah, sure.
He probably said, you know what? Let me cash in for now and let me see what happens in the future. I still think, I don't know. I know somebody at Chelsea who's been there a long time and who really likes Brendan because that's where Brendan started out.
Yeah.
And he still swears that one day he will be he will coach Chelsea. One day. Paul Pogba is drawing criticism from PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, which of course is an animal rights group. This is because he bought a stake in a camel racing team, Jules. They wrote him an open letter.
Did they? Did they do the same with people who own horses who do horse racing?
No, because Paul Pogba is famous and rando people who own horses.
Antoine Griezmann has horses. He's famous. Did they?
I think what they argue is that camel racing is a lot less regulated. I mean, like for me, they're both stupid.
I think it's existed for like thousands of years.
Yeah, and it's less regulated, and the camels are mistreated. just as the horses, I guess, are just treated. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I can understand why you're not happy for camels to race. Then in that case, do it with every other animal that races.
I think they
do.
probably do. It's
Okay.
just that we're talking about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It does like I'm against this. I'm not going to criticize Paul Pogba for doing it because many other people do, and it's mainstream. But I guess it's a way for reminding people that camel racing, like horse racing, often, not always, mistreats the animals.
Yeah. Luis Suarez got himself a 1-year contract extension at Inter Miami. Are you surprised, Gab?
No, because this is not I don't think this is a footballing contract. Presumably, he enjoys living in Miami.
Yeah.
I think his little friend Lionel Messi basically runs the club, wants to keep him around. From a football perspective, we saw he lost his starting place to the guy Salvetti or whatever. I don't even know if he's going to stick around next year because MLS people come and go. But why not? Right? 40 years old, come off the bench, certain games, hang out with Messi, have the asado. Sure, why not? But I think football-wise, this is not significant.
No.
Jules, this brings us to an end.
Yeah.
But we're going to be back on Monday to cover what is going to be an incredible weekend. The Super Cup, the Italian Super Cup in Saudi Arabia. Hyped and amped for that. How about that? No, plenty of other stuff going on as well. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.